Hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Knitting Jungle podcast. To everyone new here, my name is Sarah. I live on the east coast of the US in the Boston area, and I have 2 little girls and a husband who live here with me. And this is a podcast about everything that I've been knitting and sewing on recently. So we've got a jam-packed episode today. I've been pretty busy in the last 2 weeks since I last made an episode. I've got 3 finished objects. 2 were on the knitting machine, which I got a couple weeks ago, like I talked about it briefly in my previous episode. And then I've got maybe 2.5 whips and 1 yarn acquisition and 1 finished sewing object. So if you're interested in all that, then grab a cup of coffee or tea and your knitting or whatever you're working on, and let's get started. And for all of my returning viewers, thank you so much for watching and commenting on my other videos. Some of them were so nice and so helpful, so just wanted to say thank you so much. I read all your comments and I respond to all of them. At this time, I don't have that many comments, so I'm able to respond to them all. I love hearing about all the projects you're working on and where you're from. So if you want to leave me a comment about where you're from and what you're working on, I would love to read that. Okay, so for my first finished object, ta-da! Wow, it looks really good. This is the Wallin sweater. This is from her new book called Erin, I think, with and all the patterns are like colorwork patterns with her new Erin weight yarn. I talked about this in at least 2 of my previous episodes, her kit and her yarn and everything. So if you want to learn more about the yarn and the kit, you can feel free to watch those episodes. But today I'll just talk about the finished objects and my overall thoughts on this sweater. Well, it's showing up really nicely here on camera. I'm really happy to be finished with this. It did knit up pretty quickly because it's an Erin weight yarn, and I used 4.5mm needles, but it is colorwork, and I mentioned in a previous episode there are 12 different colors here, so there's a lot to kind of keep track of and manage. And if I were to show you the inside, you would learn my naughty secret of no weaving in ends at all here. I did weave in some on like the end of the sleeve and the collar, like where it might show. But on the inside body part, it's kind of a jungle. Okay, so I'll just show you just so I can be honest about my naughtiness. So yeah, got a lot of ends there, and I don't plan to weave those in. So yeah, be warned with this pattern. The colors are constantly changing, and there are 12 of them, so you're constantly cutting yarn and reattaching, and you may or may not choose to sew in your ends. I'll insert a video of me wearing this, but it was looking a little bit weird before I blocked it, or I soaked it in warm water and Eucalan wool soap for a few hours, and then I stretched it nice and good and laid it out to dry. It took about 2 days to dry, I think, even though it's nice and hot here. And I do have a confession. I was knitting the sleeve, and I really don't like to knit sleeves. So I finished the sleeve here, and I did the ribbing, and I had convinced myself that I was gonna keep it as a 3/4 length sleeve. And then as I was starting the second sleeve, I was like, no, you're gonna regret this. So on the second sleeve, I just knit the full length. I didn't take any shortcuts and I didn't cheat. And then I went back to this one and I ripped out actually I didn't rip it out. So instead of rip back the whole thing and waste all this, the time I spent making the cuff, I just put the cuff stitches on a knitting needle, and then the regular sleeve stitches on another needle, and then I cut off one row and just ripped that out, and by the time I was finished ripping out that row, the cuff and the sleeve had been separated, but all the live stitches were on knitting needles, if that makes any sense. I think when you're making socks, I think that might be called the afterthought heel kind of trick. Oh, I show, I think 2 episodes ago when I made Aggie the sheep, the little toy, I had knitted her butt on backwards. So I did surgery around her tummy and I separated her and flipped her butt around and then did like a Kitchener stitch to sew her back together. So I've got a little video about how I did that, I think 2 episodes ago, so episode 4, if you're interested. But anyways, I'm really proud of myself for not being lazy and making 3/4 length sleeves. Also because I had so much extra yarn. So let me talk about the yarn for a second. Like I said, there's 12 different colors. So you can try all of her yarn if you wanted to make this sweater. It's rustic, it's a non-superwash wool, and it's pretty soft. It's definitely not like merino or like a soft wool, but for a rustic non-superwash wool, I think it's pretty soft to the touch. If you're sensitive like up here, it is a little bit itchy, but as far as rustic yarns go, it's not that bad. It's knit bottom up, so I started down here with a 1x1 ribbing, and then went straight to the color work up until the armpit area, and then you cast on some like waist stitches where the armhole is going to be, and then you continue knitting in the round up until the shoulder, and then later on you cut the steek stitches of the armhole, and then I picked up stitches and then made the sleeve from there. I was considering making both sleeves at once with 2 steek lines, like knit 1 giant sleeve in the round and then cut it in half and then sew the sleeve on that way. I kind of got too lazy to do that, even though I think that would have saved me time and aggravation. But I was too lazy to like figure out all the decreases and everything. But it ended up being really simple to like do the sleeve, so I could have done that, but I just didn't do it. One thing is the sleeves are pretty narrow. They're not too narrow, but I picked up the I think it's like 76 stitches around the sleeve to begin, and then it has you decrease every, like, I don't know, I won't give away the pattern, but every like certain amount of rows. And then I tried it on after I had knit maybe, I don't know, about this much, and it was getting pretty narrow and there was a lot more decreases to go. So I got scared and I just stopped decreasing altogether from about like the bicep area to the tip of the sleeve, and I didn't run out of yarn, luckily. And yeah, I'm not so sure about the sleeve sizing on this. Maybe it's my mistake somehow, but that is one modification I did. And then in my previous episode, I said that I had knitted the collar around the neck too loosely. So I went in and fixed that. And then I also went on a little rant last time about how confusing the shoulder construction was. So when you get up to the shoulder, she wants you to decrease a certain amount of stitches on this side near the armhole and this side for the neck collar thing. And it was really confusing. It was a very long run-on sentence. Oh, sorry, wool in my mouth. But in the end, I just made my best guess, and it turned out a little bit wonky on one side, but I think after you block it, it was okay. So just be warned about that. I went on Ravelry to see if anyone else had that problem, but not enough people have gotten to that stage of the project or even cast this on, really, so there was no information there about that. So I should probably go in and make some notes for anyone who might want that help doing this project. By the way, I do have a Ravelry page linked below. It's not the most up-to-date, but I don't know, maybe some of you might find it useful. And I do have an Instagram that's also, it doesn't really show like everything that I do, but I don't know, just in case you want to follow me there. Anyways, and then one other confusing thing was the instructions say seam the shoulder, but they don't say, it doesn't say like how many or like how wide to make the neckline when you're seaming the shoulder. So I think I just put it on and guessed, and that worked out okay. But for a beginner, that might be those instructions might not be sufficient. Okay. So overall, I'm happy with this project. I'm happy I finished. It's like 92 degrees here today, so I'm not really wearing this yet. And with the trouble I had, I got a little bit turned off from the shoulder seam construction fiasco. So I'm happy to just like let this rest until fall, and then I'm sure I will fall in love with it. It's very thick and heavy. This is gonna be super, super warm in like November or December. I'm not I do love the colors, especially on the model. She's got like fair skin and red hair or something. These colors look so good on her, but I'm not so sure they suit me. I mean, it doesn't matter, you can wear whatever you want, but I don't know. I just don't know how I feel yet about the color combination, but I think I just need to like stop staring at it for a couple weeks, and I'm sure I will fall in love with it. I have a gray, a tank, like a knit maxi dress that I'm planning to wear with this underneath, and that looks good. I'm excited to style it in that way. Okay, let me show you how much yarn I have left over, by the way. It's actually a ton of yarn. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it all. It's just gonna be scrap colorwork yarn, I guess. This is silver birch. This is the color you use for the hem and the cuffs and a little bit on the body, but not so much. I have almost a full ball left of that. I hope you don't mind me showing you some of the colors. Maybe you're interested. I do show all of them in maybe my first or second episode. This one is called Mulberry. It's like a dark purplish with some blue in there. This was the only ball of this I got, and it's used very sparingly, and I still have like half a ball left of that. This one is dark apple. This one is paired, in the pattern it's paired often with this pink color. Let me see if I can find any more of that one. I do love pink and green as a color combination. This pink one is called Blossom. So yeah, a lot left of these. I'm not sure I'm gonna buy another kit again, because, I mean, especially a colorwork kit, because if you add up all the grams or ounces of yarn I didn't use, I could have saved a lot of money, but I guess that's just how it goes. Oh, and I forgot to mention, but I made this in the smallest size. There's a lot of positive ease in the smallest. Normally I make like the third or fourth size, but in this one, I think the size was called like small/medium or something, and it looked like it was gonna have an oversized fit. So yeah, I'm 5'7", and I'm usually a size like 8 or like a UK 12 or 14. So if I can wear the smallest size, if you're any smaller than that, you might want to, I don't know, maybe alter the charts a little bit more to your measurements. So just watch out for that. This color is called Pale Oak. And then these two colors, this is why I bought the kit in the first place. And I'm not even a blue person, but look how pretty those are. And they've got some little fuzzies coming off, and they're very soft. This one's called Eau de Nil, and this one is called Mallard. So ton of those colors left. I should weigh how much I have left. This is wood. It's like a reddish brown. That's a really nice color. A lot of these colors are also similar. Like you could get away with, for example, these two. You could get away with just buying one of them. All on camera they look pretty different, but this one's russet. It's like an orangey brown, and this one is chestnut. It's like another reddish brown. Let me compare that one to wood, which is also a reddish brown. Yeah, these are pretty similar. I don't know, you could get away with combining these in the pattern maybe. This is raw. This is the undyed wool color. That's the lightest color in all of the color work. Oh, I've got a totally unopened one of chestnut. Look at that. Didn't realize. And this is quince. I've got very little left of this, luckily. So yeah, that's a lot of extra yarn. if any of you is interested in trying some of this yarn, maybe I could ship it to you if you live in the US, maybe, I don't know. And so I knit this on a 4.5mm needle, and then the hem and the cuff and the ribbing portion I knit on a 3.5mm needle. The Colorwork chart I found to be very good. Here's the one for the sleeve. I'll just show it fast so you won't get any ideas. It's just one giant chart for the whole sleeve. So I like that. You can really see like if the end is in sight or not. So that's all I have to say about that. I definitely won't be making this again. It's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing. And yeah, let me know what you think. Maybe I'm being a little too hard on myself because I didn't have like that many problems, and I did finish it in the end. And nothing really matters if you finish something, right? I also forgot to mention that I will put the links to all the patterns and the yarn below in case you're interested in checking those out. Anyways, I do have a finished object that I've forgotten to tell you about for like 2 months now, and that's because I gave it away, so out of sight, out of mind. And that is the Ingrid baby sweater by Petite Knit. She's also got an adult version that's really popular on Ravelry at least. So I made that in Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in like a pale green color, and I made it for a 6-month-old baby boy. And my first attempt on this sweater went pretty poorly. Like, I did the gauge swatch and everything, and I met the gauge with I think 4.5mm needles, and I knit probably like the whole yoke, and I had joined in the round. It was like getting knit top down. And as I was knitting in the round, I realized the sweater was like going to be way too big, like for maybe a 2 or 3-year-old even. So I unraveled that and I started again. I went down a full needle size, or a full 1.0mm needle size. So I went to a 3.5mm needle. And then instead of knitting the 6 to 9 month size, I knit the 0 to 3 month size. And that turned out perfectly to fit this baby, and I'll put a little picture here. The mom was so nice to send that, because you know when you knit something, you give it away, you're like, who knows if they'll ever even wear that. But this boy did wear it at least one time, so it was all worth it. I really like the pattern. Part of it is not in English. Like, part of the chart, there was like a few words next to the chart that were not in English that I needed to translate, but that was like pretty easy. And there was some other little part that was confusing. This is on the 6 to 9 month old chart though. And then I ended up doing the 0 to 3 month size, which didn't have any problems. But I was able to figure it out, but just watch out for that maybe. And for the sleeves, I got too lazy to make the sleeves in the correct pattern, so I just did straight stockinette. I picked up stitches and just knit straight stockinette all the way to the cuff. And then, yep, and then I brought it to San Francisco where I visited my friend, and she liked it, and that's it. One thing is, I know the Double Sunday yarn must be pretty popular. It's like a merino wool, but I didn't like knitting with it very much at all. I think I'm just used to like a stretchy yarn, and this one was very not stretchy and very round, so it felt like when I was knitting it, it felt like the stitches would just like become loose amongst themselves, like for no reason, and it was really hard to like get them tight enough. Oops, sorry. And it kind of felt like cotton. It was so non-stretchy, it kind of felt like cotton. So I don't think I will work with that again, but it was like lovely and soft, and the color was nice, and it was very even, like it wasn't like thick and thin or anything. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my 2 knitting machine finished objects. This is very, very exciting to me. So in my previous episode, I mentioned I got a knitting machine on Facebook Marketplace. I'm sorry, I still have that. Oh, I got it this time, the piece of wool. And for like an entire week, I was like setting it up and figuring out how to use it and doing tension swatches with my existing yarns and everything. So the fact that I have 2 finished objects today is like very, very impressive to me. I'm really proud of myself, and they have a lot of problems, but anyways, let me just get to it. So this knitting machine can take yarn, it's called a standard bed knitting machine, which means it can do yarns from lace weight up until like a light DK weight. It apparently can also do chunkier yarns if you use every other needle in the needle bed. I haven't tried that yet. I'm still quite a beginner. Okay, so here's the first one I did. Oh, so I made two sweaters, one for each of my girls. Ta-da! Whoa, that looks good. Okay, so this is my take on the Viola Kofte by Viola? Yeah, I'll put her last name down there too, sorry. So this is her like child's version of this pattern, and in her pattern she recommends a thicker yarn than this, but I used Hobby Alpaca, which is like probably a fingering weight yarn, or maybe light DK, but it's quite an affordable yarn, and my girls are sensitive, but this alpaca is soft enough for my youngest. This is for my 4-year-old that I made this, and her name starts with L, so I embroidered a little L here in the neckband. And so how did I make this pattern on the machine? So the knitting machine I have has punch cards that can do color work. You can do 2 colors at a time if you want. And it comes with a bunch of patterns that you can do already. It comes with a bunch of punch cards like pre-made you can use. But I also got blank punch cards, and I made my own punch card by copying the Colorwork chart of the Viola Kofte. So I made 2 punch cards, one for this section here, and one for this blue section here. So I did the punch card. It was kind of a learning curve, punching out the holes. Maybe I'll show a picture of what this looks like, because if you've never done machine knitting before, it's kind of like, what is that? But the machine did skip some stitches here on the diagonal, you can see. And I tried repunching that holes, but it just still never worked. But it's okay. No one really noticed, especially from far away. And another thing you can get with knitting machines is called a ribbing attachment, and that it turns it into a single bed machine into a double bed. So you can, I don't really fully understand, but you can do like ribbing on it, for example. I don't have that, so a trick I did was I just did a stockinette hem, and then I did kind of a turning row here by not knitting every other stitch, and that kind of made a hole, and that hole I folded back on itself, and that became the turning edge. And then I knit more stockinette and then sewed it to the inside, sewed it down on the inside like this. See how even it did? This is totally cheating, but I love it. And so I made this top. I made, what did I do? Okay, sorry, I already forgot. This was like 2 weeks ago. I made 2 panels, a front and a back, 2 giant rectangles. Like I did a gauge swatch and took my girls' measurements. And then I sewed the 2 rectangles together at the shoulder seam. And then I cut open a neckline. I just took one of her other sweaters and just like measured where a good neck would be. I cut a little bit for the back and deeper for the front. And then I did this ribbing, what's it called? The neckband ribbing by hand there. That's the only thing I did by hand other than sew up all the everything. And then, oh, I did this cuff by hand as well. Just, it looks pretty sloppy. It's like a 1x1. And then I did a little crochet picot at the end because nobody wants a white cuff. That's going to be dirty. I mean, it is kind of white already, but I don't know. I just thought that would be cute to bring in that blue color here towards the end. Yeah, that looks good. And here I got a red and green color here at the waistband. It doesn't look too good on the front, but on the back I put some white in between the waistband, so the back, I should have made the back the front. Whoops. And then, okay, then I knit the sleeves as 2 big rectangles as well, and then just sewed them together at the like shoulder area and seam them down the middle, like the underarm armpit. There's a seam there, but you can't really tell. And that's about it. Okay, so this looks like really good and everything, but I had probably like 3 scrap, like failed panels basically that I had to unravel and turn to scrap. So this probably took me double the amount of time than it should have. Like, let's say I just started and did everything perfectly, like each rectangle was a perfect size and I didn't like drop any stitches. Oh my gosh, on the sleeve one time, I just like ran the carriage across and all the stitches fell off and I was like, oh, and I just had to start over again. Sometimes I would try to pick up the stitches, but other times I would just have to start over. So that is really heartbreaking. So, but as I was saying, if I was just to start and finish this perfectly as like an expert, this would maybe take me like 4 hours. Can you believe that? So yeah, I do feel like I'm cheating, but for gift knits, like this would take me like a month. And I have so many plans for like things I want to make my girls, but I'm a selfish knitter. So this is gonna be the perfect solution to satisfy everyone in the family. Okay, so moving on to my older girl's sweater that I made. She is 6. She's very tall for her age though. And I didn't even have her try this on yet, so I hope it fits, but I made it like extra big because better too big than too small with kids, right? So this is hers. This one is made in Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the color Natural. It's like the white color. And then this pink color is called Scout. It's like a beautiful light or medium pink. And oh, you see that turning edge I did? I hope this isn't too boring. Like, I hope you're interested in machine knitting, because once I learned about it, I got a little bit addicted. But don't worry, I'm still doing my hand knits as well. Anyways, okay, and then I used some of the hobby alpaca I had left over from the first kid sweater I just showed you, the blue and the green. So I just used those to do more tulip colors. So similar construction for the first. I just made 2 giant rectangles and then sewed them together at the shoulder seam. But then when I started pinning them together to sew the side seams, I thought it was going to be too small. And I think I even had her try it on, and it was like kind of skin tight in a bad way. So I thought, okay, let me just make a giant like gusset extra panel here. So that's what this weird pink thing is on the side. I just knit an extra big rectangle, and then once I got to the armpit, I decreased it into a triangular gusset at the armpit. I don't know if you can see, because the width of the arm was okay, so I just had to taper off into the armpit. Hopefully that makes sense. And now I think it's a good size. I did the same exact hem as last time. I like started with the hem and then knit bottom up, because to me it's easier to fold the hem back in on itself and then knit that together and then continue up the sleeve. And then yeah, sew the sleeves to there. And then I cut open the neck hole just like the other one, and I did the neckband by hand. Oh, I need to put her little initial there. Her name starts with a K. And she even thought the alpaca was scratchy, so I had to make hers in merino, which I just had in my stash that I had never used before. But this is a great yarn, the Madeline Tosh Merino. It's really soft, really even. The machine really liked it because it's really smooth. If it's like a super hairy yarn, you're supposed to like run it over wax so it can go into the machine better, but I didn't have to do that with this yarn. What was I gonna say? Okay, I used 1.5 balls of the white and 1 full ball of the pink for this sweater. I think those come in 100 grams. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it down below if I figure it out. And in case you're nosy, I'll just flip this the wrong side out so you can see what's going on. And the undercarriage, pretty even and nice. There is a way to catch floats on the machine, before knitting the next row, you kind of just have to manually pick it up and put it on the needle. Pick it up, put on the needle. I didn't do that because this pattern wasn't so crazy. I think the longest float was like 7 stitches long. That's definitely long, but it's not worth my time because you never know if these kids are gonna wear what you make them, you know? When they're babies, you can make them wear whatever they want, but then it's just a risk when they get older and they make their own choices. So yes, 2 little girls' sweaters. Oh, I'm so pleased with them. So next for them, I was thinking maybe Halloween or Halloween sweaters, because I can finish this in like 4 or 5 hours now that I've got a little practice. So, because I don't even need to go straight to Christmas knitting, because I can make like a lot of these, I think. So maybe Halloween and then a Christmas sweater for them. But let's see how often they wear these. Actually, my youngest was, I mean, it's like the middle of summer and she was wearing this one already in the house, in the air conditioning, of course, but she was really excited for this. This one just finished drying, so like I said, my older girl didn't try hers on yet, but yeah, maybe today when she comes home from summer camp. Let me just show you my, my little swatch book I have, because each yarn kind of needs its own attention. So it only takes a few minutes to make these swatches. So for here for example is Rauma Finull, and what I did here was like, this is like at one of the tightest tensions, like you can barely even get it through the machine. And here's like a medium tension, and then here's the loosest tension. So that's really helpful, right? Because now, okay, and here's Hillesvåg Ask, which is kind of like a DK weight, I would say. And I chose colors, or like scrap colors that I had left over, so that I wouldn't have to unravel my my swatches later on. And this one is the Hobby Alpaca, which I used for the first little girl sweater I did. So just thick to thin here, very even. I don't know if you're interested in this, but just thought I'd show you like how I plan my projects a little bit there. And then later on in the book, I kind of write like whatever plans I have. Like this was for the Viola Kofte. Like I just kind of plan out like how many to cast on, how many rows to do based on the gauge swatch. And I find that really helpful. Like I don't take notes too well on a computer. I like to do it by hand, especially with drawings and crafts and stuff. I find a little notebook like this really helpful. Okay, so now on to my whips. One, I just did a little bit on. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I already mentioned it in maybe my first episode. This is called the Loge pullover. It's a man's pattern. This is going to be for my husband. This is a free pattern by Jarbo. I'll put a better picture of it up here because it's really, I just think it's really beautiful. I'm probably going to steal it. It's got like a beautiful understated purl and knit design, kind of like a Gansey sweater or something like that. It's in the style of that. It's knit top down, like you start with the back, do some stuff for the shoulders, cast on for the front neck. Oh, and I can talk about this pattern as much as I want because it's free, haha. And then you knit the front and back panel separately and then join in the round later on. So I pretty much have just joined in the round. I haven't made too much progress. But now the fall might be coming in the next 2 months. I would like to finish this for him at that time. Oh, this matches my door trim, kind of. I love green, it's my favorite color. And I hope he likes it too. So I'm knitting, oh yeah, you can kind of see the pattern here. It's like some diamonds and some thick stripe things. This is a lamb's wool by Knit Rennie. Well, look at this cone. So it's very thin, so I'm holding it double. This is like the little ball I've made. Knit Rennie Super Soft, and the color is Olive Grove. And this cone is an unwashed cone, which I believe means there are still spinning oils in here from when they're spinning the yarn. So after I finish this, I will give it a nice wash in real soap and then a soak in wool soap. I think that's how you're supposed to remove all those spinning oils. And maybe wash it 1 or 2 times without agitating it, of course, so it doesn't felt. And how big is this cone? I got this a while ago, so I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish this sweater easily. It doesn't look like I've made a dent, and I've done about this much. Oh yeah, this is definitely a rustic yarn. It's coming up lighter than it really is. It's more of a medium dark green with like yellow flecks in it, and yeah, I really like it. I think it'll soften up a lot more. Right now it's a little bit rustic. Hopefully he's not too sensitive, and if he is, it's okay, I will just steal it. So yeah, that's going well, very slowly but surely. I won't say too much about that. The needle size I'm using is very comfortable. Now let's see what it is. It is a 4.0 millimeter. That's a nice comfortable size for me. I like anything between a 2.5 and a 4, 4.5. 4.5 is a little too big for me. Kind of like hurts my hands more, but the smaller needle sizes like 2.5 or 3, I really like. I feel like I can knit really fast at those smaller needle sizes. Okay, my next whip is in my precious knitting box. This is actually a sewing box, I think, like a vintage one. But I use it to hold my knitting because then I can just carry that easily around the house wherever I go. So this one I showed last time, but I've made good progress on it. What should I show first? I'll show the thing first. Let me show you in a way that's showable. This is the Circinet cardigan by Kate Davies. So this, you don't need a cable needle for this, but it has a kind of a cabley effect. I'm not sure about the stitch definition on this yarn. It's not crazy defined, but hopefully you can see it, and maybe after I soak it and block it, it'll be more apparent because it's taking quite some time. So there's this diamondy motif here, and then these little cables. Maybe I'll show the back. So I've knit up to, this one's knit bottom up, and okay, well, you start off, I already talked about this a little bit last time, but you start off doing the ribbing, and it's a twisted rib, which I knit in the round because I didn't want to do twisted purls. So I just did twisted knit in the round, and then I will just cut this little piece later. Oh, you can't even tell, I'm really sorry. This little piece, because she wants you to knit it flat. But I didn't want to do twisted purl. But guess what? Joke's on me because I chose the wrong side for the front. So like the nice twisted rib side is actually going to be on the inside of the sweater instead of the outside. Well, it's okay. That's what you get for taking the lazy way out sometimes. So yeah, you knit it bottom up until the armpit, and then you separate the left front, right front, and the back from each other. So I finished the left front, and then you bind off a little bit for like the neckline here, and the shoulder will be here, and this is gonna hit about hip length, maybe like mid hip length, and I'm making the 4th size, by the way, and I think there's like 8 sizes. I think it's pretty good in terms of size inclusivity, but I'll tell you exactly how many sizes there are below. But anyways, it's gonna be comfortable. It's gonna have some positive ease for sure. And my last episode, I showed you which buttons I'm gonna use. I'm really excited for those buttons for some reason. So yeah, I did the left front panel, and I just started the right front panel last night. And I'm maybe halfway done with that. So I'm definitely getting faster at this, but this is a very slow knit. So every other row you're like doing a lot of like, not cables, but you know, like things. cable-like things, I should say. But this yarn is really nice. I'm really liking this. And yeah, I can't wait to have this done. So the yarn I'm using is Garthenor Organic, and it's their Beacons base, and this is the color Marble. It's very soft. And this is my, this is gonna be my 5th ball. So I didn't start this ball yet, so all of this I did on 4 balls of that. Can I show it very well once and for all here? Okay, so I did all this on 4 balls, and I have 4 more. So hopefully I can get it done. I might need to reorder an extra ball, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. There's my progress on that, and hopefully I can finish sometime in the future. Okay, I've got one more kind of whip to show you. It's more of an alteration. So in my first episode ever, I showed you my Norwegian inspired Kofte cardigan thing. And I've been wearing this a little bit. It's a little bit of pilling like in the underarm area, but not too bad. But I'm a little bit surprised at the pills, but I think it will last a while, hopefully. But anyways, one thing I regretted with this was not putting in pockets. So now that I have the knitting machine, I made pockets for this because this only took like 5 minutes. Here's one of the pockets. I need to like steam this open. So I'm putting these pockets on the inside of the sweater because I don't want to like interrupt all of this color work. I didn't do all this for nothing, you know? So here I marked off where I wanted the pocket. And on this side, I have finished the 1 pocket so far. So what I did, I think it's called Afterthought Heel Method. Someone in the comments recommended that to me, so thank you so much if that was you. It worked out perfectly. I think that's what I did here. I did the thing where I just talked about in the beginning, where the method I used to fix my sheep and the sleeve of the Marie Wallin sweater. So I picked up 1 row of stitches, skipped a row, and then picked up the next row of stitches below, and then cut the row that was skipped and pulled it out. And by the time you do that, you've got 2 sets of live stitches. And then I didn't even make a ribbing or anything. I didn't want to like draw too much attention to this. I just did a normal cast off for both rows here, and I kind of reinforced the edges with the extra yarn so they wouldn't unravel. Oh, this kind of looks like a fish mouth. Anyways, okay, so let me flip it to the inside so I can show you how I just quickly sewed the pocket to the inside. I made sure to overlap the pocket, like I made sure to put the pocket above the hole so that when you open it, you're not gonna see the inside of the sweater, you'll just see the white pocket bag there. And I, did a measurement, made sure I could fit my phone and everything, and then I just sewed this panel down. And I think it worked really well. It ends right here at the hem. I did like a nice tight gauge on the knitting machine so it won't get like holes in it and, stretch out and look weird underneath the main layer of the sweater. So let me just do a quick demonstration because that might be kind of satisfying. Got the pocket and the phone. Ta-da! Sits a little bit low, but convenience is key. So that's it for all my whips and FOs, and I've got 1 yarn acquisition I'll show you. So I got this specifically to go with the dress I'm wearing right now. Let me see if I can do a nice color match there. So I'm going to use this to make a sweater to pair with this dress. I think that'll be really nice and like kind of cozy and like homely. And so anyways, this is called Uist wool. This is a Scottish merino wool that I've been meaning to try. It's so soft, and like the look of it is rustic, but the feel is really soft like merino. and it's really the twist is really high. So hopefully this will be a nice durable knit. And it's a little bit speckledy. I like that it's not uniform. It gives it like a nice homemade characteristic without being like homemade in a bad way, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I've never seen a yarn like this, so I'm really excited to give it a try. Oh, sorry, this is their Kana base, and the color is Korka. So this mill and wool center is in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. And this is a 4-ply, 50 grams, 100% Scottish merino. And this is 50 grams skein, has 175 meters. They've got a lot of beautiful colors, but I went with this one just to pair specifically with, I wear a lot of white clothes, and this I think will pair nicely with that, and then specifically this dress that I just made as well. So what I'm just showing you one skein, but I've got a few more, and I'm planning to make the Paracon sweater by Fiber Tales. It's a beautiful textured yoke that I think this yarn would really do her pattern justice. So we'll see if I end up going with that. I did do a little swatch and I met gauge, so that is kind of like the green light to get started on that. And now that I've finished all those other sweaters, I think I might be due for a new cast on. Although I would like to finish that other Kate Davies cardigan first. But I have a lot of things on my wish to-do list. So yeah. So as for what I'm wearing, no knitwear right now. It's too hot. But I did sew this dress last week and I really like it. It is the pattern's by Vicky Sews. I think it's the Francesca dress. No, it's not Francesca. I will put it on the screen which one it is, but it's the sheared dress. It's very popular. It's very easy as long as your machine can handle elastic thread in the bobbin, which my old machine could not do. I have a newer machine now that I got last year, and it can finally, I was so scared to try shearing again because I don't like to be disappointed. But I tried it again last week on my new machine for the first time, and it totally worked, and I was so happy. So I'm probably gonna make like a lot more sheared dresses now. But I've made that Vicky Sews pattern before. Oh yeah, I think in my first or second episode I was wearing like a pink and white gingham dress. That is the long, or like 3/4 length sleeve version of the dress. This is the same dress, I just omitted the sleeves and just went for straps for summertime. So this fabric is by Merchant and Mills. They make my favorite linen, well, my favorite patterned linen. This colorway is called Salmon, and it's like a beautiful light beige and white check, and it's pretty understated. It doesn't even show on camera, really. But it's so cute, it's cozy, it's like, you know, a little bit cottage-core-y, and I think this will look good in summer and fall. In fall I like to wear it more brown, and the beige and brown is going to work really well together, I think. And yeah, in winter and fall I'll just, you know, like put a long sleeve shirt under this, or one of my sweaters on top, and it'll be a great outfit. Oh yeah, there's not too much to say about the dress. Oh, one thing is I made the straps on the bias so that the checks were running diagonally, and I don't know if you really noticed that, but I thought that was like kind of a cool detail that I did. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I put just some simple side seam pockets in this. Nothing special, just, you know, a double layered bag sewn to the side seam there. So this dress is really easy to make. I mean, minus all the time it takes to shear the fabric, but so when you are sewing the back and the front together on the side seams, for this one I left part of the side seam open on one side, because in the other version I made, like when I tried to do a wide stride, I was running into the fabric, so I needed more like openness down there, so I didn't fully complete the side seam on one of those sides, if that makes sense, for more ease of movement. One little tip I will give in case you are a sewer and are interested in shearing fabric is like when you're learning to shear, they tell you to make a line of shearing and like cut the thread after each line. Don't do that at all. I found a much better way. That takes so much time and you have to knot the little ends of the elastic and everything. What I do now, I think I must have learned this from someone else on YouTube, but I knit a line and without breaking the thread, I just go down 2 stitches, turn my work, and then go back. So just one giant continuous line of elastic like this, and that I finished all the shearing in like 20 minutes. It was crazy good, so I'm definitely gonna do this again. Okay, well that's all I have today. It was 2 weeks since my last episode, and I think I'll try to do one more episode before I go on August vacation, which would be a little bit less than 2 weeks from now. So unless I have nothing to show, I will do one more episode before me and my family go on our August vacation. We're going to California with my husband's parents and his brother, sister-in-law, and my girl's little cousin. Oh, and my husband's aunt and uncle. So it's like a big family reunion trip to California, to San Diego and LA a little bit. Not LA, but like kind of outside of LA somewhere. And I've never been to San Diego before, so I'm really excited. I'm excited to see the beaches there, and the weather is not as humid as here. I used to live in San Francisco, so I just love California and can't wait to go back. And then once we finish our family reunion portion of the vacation, us 4, my husband and 2 girls, we're gonna go to Hawaii. Oh, I'm so excited. So we used to live in San Francisco, so we would go to Hawaii a lot more than when we moved to the Boston area, which has been never. We haven't been to Hawaii in several years since we moved back here, so I'm really excited to go back. So yeah, that's it. I hope you're having a great summer so far. Be sure to let me know what you're working on and what part of the world you're coming from. Looks like a lot of you are not in the US, which is very exciting to me. So yeah, I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for watching till the end. And please subscribe if you would like to see all my future episodes as well. So have a great day. Bye!